Hi there, welcome to Dean's Kitchen. My name is Siobhan Ingram, I'm brand manager here at Dean's, and today I'm going to be helping you get ready for Christmas by showing you a fantastic recipe for mincemeat pies. If you've never made your own mincemeat pies before, now is your chance to do it. This recipe is to die for. Very simple, very straightforward. But before we start, we need to make some pastry, but please don't let that put you off. A lot of people, even at the thought of making pastry, are horrified, but this is very, very simple. Very effective. It's a really good recipe. This particular sweet short crust that I'm going to demonstrate to you is the only sweet short crust I ever make. It's particularly good, very simple and very, very tasty. So what goes into pastry? Very simple, 3 ingredients and a little bit of water. The 3 ingredients are flour, butter or margarine or a mix of both. You can use whatever you want, and a little bit of sugar just to add a bit of sweetness. So we've got 230 grams of plain flour, 140 grams of fat, and as I say, butter, margarine mix, whichever you like, and about a tablespoon of sugar that we've dissolved in hot water, and that is all that you need to make this pastry. It's beneficial, if you have got one, to use a food processor because that makes the job much, much simpler. If you haven't got a food processor though, don't worry, you can still make it. You just need to rub the fat into the flour by hand and then mix in the water and sugar and you'll get pretty much the same result. But this, for the lazy cook like myself, makes the job a lot easier. Right, so let's just take the lid off the food processor and pop our flour in first. So that goes in. The thing I would say as well about making this pastry is you need to make it kind of before, an hour or two before you're ready to make the pies, simply because you need to chill it, and that makes the job of handling it a lot easier. So fat and flour in the bowl of the food processor, and then pop the lid on. And then a little bit of noise coming up, but you just want to whiz this until you form sort of something that looks a bit like breadcrumbs. So you just want the fat mixed evenly into the flour. So we'll do that now. Literally just takes a few seconds. The fat, by the way, is kind of at room temperature, not too soft, not too hard. So that's that done. And then what we do is just tip our water and sugar, which is mixed in a little tub here. So it's basically a sugar syrup. Just adds a little bit of sweetness and shortness to the recipe as well. So we'll pop that in next, switch it back on and pop all of that in. And as you will see in seconds, this is why I recommend having a food processor because it makes the job so much easier. Basically what's happened is our pastry has come together into one piece. Just lift the blade out, it's very sharp, so I'll just get that out of the way. And that is our pastry ready. I'll just bring out all the other pieces that have stuck to the bowl. And that's it ready. And as you will see, it's quite soft. So what we need to do is chill this now. So I'm going to wrap it in a little bit of cling film, pop it in the fridge, and then we'll roll it out and start making our mincemeat pies. So here we have our short crust pastry ready to roll. So it's been in the fridge, wrapped in cling film for about an hour or so, just enough time to let it just chill and be a bit easier to handle. So I'm just going to unwrap it. I'm going to take about half of it, leave the other half to one side, and then just a little bit of flour on the worktop, just to stop it sticking, like this. Bring it together, like so. Now, as I say, don't be nervous about handling pastry. The easiest way to do it is to do a little bit at a time. Don't try and do the whole block because then you'll have a great big piece and it's difficult to handle and that's when it starts breaking. So just do a little bit because we're going to be cutting out rounds to fill our patty tin, I should say, ready for the bases of these mincemeat pies. So as you can see, chilling it does make the world of difference because it just makes it so much easier to handle. Just enough that it's just nice and firm, not too solid. The other thing I should say about this pastry is if you want to make it in advance, it freezes very well as well. So you can make a batch, pop it in the freezer and just bring it out and thaw it at room temperature so that you can use it whenever you want. Okay, so that's about the right thickness. And then I've got a fluted cutter, so I'm just going to cut out some rounds here, like so. So if you do about 5 or 6 at a time, it's just a big enough piece of pastry just to handle without getting in a bit of a mess. And then you lift out the pieces, and I shall bring my tray across like so. I've got a nice deep tray here, and I'm just going to use these to fill the bottom. And if you do get a little bit of a hole, just press it with your finger. Sometimes it does split a little bit because it is nice and soft pastry. That's what makes it taste so good. So if you do get a wee hole, or a split, just press it with your finger and patch up like so. So press them down nicely so you get a nice shape to them. And what you do is you just keep going, rolling out, gather up your bits and pieces, your scraps, roll them out again with a little bit of flour and keep going until you've used up all your pastry. And you'll get probably about 12 to 18, about 18 mincemeat pie bases out of this recipe. So next part, very simple. Once you have your pastry cut out and filled the patty tin, next step is to put the mincemeat in there. So we've got about a teaspoon of mincemeat going into each pastry case. And just pop it in, level it out slightly because we're going to put the topping on next. Just finishing off these last 3 here. Now if you're really wanting to show off, you can make your own mincemeat, but we're using some shop-bought mincemeat, but you can use whatever you like. Okay, so that's the 12 pastry cases filled with about a teaspoon of mincemeat, and now we're going to prepare the topping. Now we're going to finish the mincemeat pies with a really nice topping, something a little bit different. Obviously, if you want to do a complete pastry mincemeat pie, just use the same pastry and cut out slightly smaller rounds to fit over the top. But we're going to show you something a wee bit different, something a wee bit tastier. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a streusel topping. That's basically just a crumb mix that we're going to sprinkle on top of the pies. Now, if you live near us in Huntly, you can buy our shortbread crumbs, very popular product in our factory shop here in the town. But for those of you a wee bit further afield, what to do is get a packet of our shortbread, and if you can bear to break it all up into crumbs, that's what to do. Put it in a plastic bag and make it into crumbs, and that's going to form the basis of our streusel topping. So what we've got here, I'll just get rid of those, is in our pan about 50 grams of butter that we've already melted, so it's sitting here, and then we've got our shortbread crumbs. So we're using the shortbread crumbs that we sell here, but you can use that or crumbed up shortbread, whatever you've got. 200 grams of shortbread crumbs going in there, like so. And also, to add a nice nutty topping, we've got 75 grams of ground almonds, so that's going in there as well. And then to give it a lovely Christmassy flavour, we're going to add some cinnamon. So we've got about a teaspoon of cinnamon going in there too. And that's the ingredients, that's everything you need for the streusel topping. So you just mix that around, like so. So basically you're just coating all the crumbs with the butter and the cinnamon and mixing the almonds evenly in there as well. And that's going to be our streusel topping to finish off our mincemeat pies. Really tasty. These are particularly popular here. Okay, so that's it done. Evenly mixed, ready to pop on to our pies. So we'll just get rid of that, get the teaspoon back. And here we have our tray of mincemeat in the pastry cases, ready for the topping. So we're going to take about a teaspoonful and just sprinkle on top of the pies. Just enough, a teaspoon or a couple of teaspoons, just whatever, just enough to cover the mincemeat within each pie, like so, and just smooth it over. And just keep going like this until you've got them all filled. And just take your time just to make them nice and neat. If you do go over the edge a little bit, just pop the crumbs back into the centre with the edge of the spoon. So we're just about there, a couple more to do with our crumb mix. And then these are going to be ready to pop in the oven at about 180 degrees centigrade for about 20-25 minutes, but just until they're nice and golden brown on the top. Okay, so that's our pies ready to go in the oven. So we'll pop them in, as I said already, 180 degrees centigrade for about 20 to 25 minutes. We'll pop them in there, and here's a tray we have all ready to come out, nice and golden brown. And then once you bring them out of the oven, as you can see, lovely golden crumbs on the top. Just very carefully lift them out onto a cooling rack like so. And just let them cool a little. You want to serve them warm, ideally, with some mulled wine would be ideal. So just pop them onto a cooling tray like so. And within a few minutes, they'll be ready to serve. So here we have our finished mincemeat pies, all delicious, golden brown, nice and warm and ready to enjoy. So you'll be able to impress all your family and friends this Christmas with your efforts. And just to finish off, if you wish, a little dusting of icing sugar just adds a little something special just to finish them off. And we would recommend that you serve these, as I say, nice and warm with a glass of mulled wine, or if you want to make a dessert out of it, serve with a little whipped cream or brandy butter or something like that on the side. So hopefully you will be able to try this recipe at home. I hope you can see how easy it is, and please don't be frightened of the pastry. It's very, very simple. Give it a whirl. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to make it. If you do try them at home, remember to take a photograph, post it up on our Facebook page. We would love to see your efforts and see how you're getting on making them yourself. So good luck, and have a happy Christmas when it comes. Now, I mentioned already we're using the crumbs within the streusel topping, which I know you can only just buy in our shop here in Huntly. But if you want to make these at home, then you'll need some shortbread crumbs. So buy a pack of our shortbread, crumb it up and use it to make the streusel topping. These packets of shortbread are widely available in supermarkets, but if you can't find them, you can always buy online at deans.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a very happy Christmas.